Evening, everyone. This is the editorial page reader. Let's start with the news. Boeing and Air India, give us some plain truths, please. Months after the horrific Ahmedabad crash, the fuel control switch issue has shown up in another Boeing. It's essential that the pilot's report be treated this time not with suspicion but rigorous follow up. Aviation runs on an unwritten covenant. Each passenger boarding on aircraft hands over something priceless, that is trust. They trust the manufacturer, the airline, and the regulator meant to stand as the public's independent guardian. This is the glue allowing millions to fly without fear. That is why Air India's recent precautionary grounding of a Boeing 787 after a pilot reported a possible fuel control switch issue matters beyond one aircraft. The event may be minor, but it reveals how aviation responds when something rare steps forward. The public cannot see risk, passengers sit unaware of technical debates, pilots can face confusing symptoms first, expected to interpret and land safely while uncertain of the cause. In that gap, duty of care is non negotiable. The industry must replace extremely unlikely with a disciplined habit of asking what if. This is not a paranoia, it is humility, the kind safety demands. History shows events judged virtually impossible appears when conditions align unexpectedly. The Boeing 737 MAX crisis offered a painful lesson. When design assumptions, training, and real cockpit workload misalign, people die. The tragedy was not only mechanical but institutional about how warnings were weighed and how low probability quits uncomfortable questions. Boeing history shows that airlines and pilots have faced surprise events even when assured of their improbability. The lesson is not that aviation is unsafe, but that uncertainty is often the first thing safety must distrust. In India, these questions cut deeper. Living in the shadow of the 2025 Air India Dreamliner crash near Ahmedabad, investigators found that both engine fuel cutoff switches had moved inexplicably. The public heard a chilling message, a critical outcome occurred, but the why was unclear. In such a context, any switch related concern draws attention. People want assurance that learning outpaces risk. This is where the moral dimension matters. The public owns the regulations in a democracy. We delegate authority to regulators, so safety oversight is not left to market forces. That delegation is a solemn trust. Regulators must ask the hard questions, demand the evidence, and resist unseen pressures. The regulators rely too heavily on manufacturers' assurances. Oversight becomes a loop of mutual comfort, not independent challenge. That is not an accusation against individuals, but a warning about systematic drift. How systems slide towards convenience while appearing compliant and paper. Compliance is not the same as safety. The duty of care must be plainly. Airlines must treat pilots' reports as a gift. The first response should be gratitude and rigorous follow through, not suspicion. Safety is learning across the fleet and building a culture where speaking up is rewarded. Manufacturers must treat field data as their most valuable feedback. When patterns don't fit the story, defensiveness is a hazard. The responsible posture is transparency, urgency, and clear mitigation. A safety bulletin should read like a moral document designed to protect people, not a legal one to protect reputation. Regulators must remain fiercely independent. Their job is not to manage headlines but to interrupt risk before risk interrupts lives. If uncertainty exists, they must insist on clarity quickly. This brings us to the tension between purpose and profit. Peter Drucker warned that profit is necessary for survival but not the purpose. Chasing it as the highest goal is dangerous. Aviation exists to move people safely. Profit should support that mission, not quietly reshape it. When upgrades become negotiable or safety messaging becomes reputation management, the convenient cracks. Adam Smith's reminder that sellers are not driven by benevolence was realistic. It is exactly why public oversight exists. Markets do not automatically protect the weakest party, the passenger who cannot inspect the aircraft or audit the data, which leads to the question citizens ask after an accident: where is moral responsibility? After tragedies, the public often hears a fog of careful phrases: reviews, process, working closely. These words are legally safe but emotionally barren. Grieving families want to see that human life has pierced and corporate armor. They want leaders who say, we understand the weight, we will not hide behind probability, we will change what must be changed. Moral responsibility does not mean declaring guilt before an investigation ends. It means declaring values while it proceeds: openness, urgency, and the willingness to be uncomfortable in public. The way forward is demanding. We must build human systems for fallible humans, systems that reward transparency, punish obfuscation, and treat every anomaly report as precious data. Pilots cannot decode mysteries at 35,000 feet. Passengers cannot be the last to know a risk existed. Regulators cannot drift into facilitators of convenience. Aviation's covenant of trust is not self renewing, it is renewed or weakened by everyday choices. What gets disclosed, how quickly fixes are made, what gets prioritized. When money and schedule push back, in the end, safety is not a certificate on a wall. It is a daily moral duty. The only measure that matters when confronted with uncertainty: did we choose humility, transparency, and human life? Or did we choose comfort? Thank you for listening.